We begin with the gale of controversies trailing the Federal High Court judgment, which purportedly nullified the candidacy of the Edo PDP governorship candidate Asue Ighodalo ahead of the election scheduled for September 21. Now, reports say the court, presided over by Justice Inyang Eko, nullified the primary election conducted on February 22, 2024, declaring the exercise a nullity because it unlawfully excluded 378 delegates who were supposed to vote at the poll. But in a swift reaction, PDP National Publicity Secretary Debo Ologunagba and legal advisor Kamaldeen Ajibade SAN clarified that the court did not issue any order nullifying Ighodalo's primary election as a party's candidate for the Edo State governorship election, saying that the relief sought by the plaintiffs did not include the disqualification or nullification of Ighodalo's primary election victory. And the Edo State chapter of the PDP also says the court ruling will not in any way affect the candidacy of Ighodalo, who it insists remains the party's flag bearer. Let's quickly hear what the PDP Edo governorship candidate Asue Ighodalo has to say at the just concluded inaugural meeting of the PDP Edo Campaign Council in Abuja a few moments ago.
I know it's not going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult. We've already seen the signs that this is going to be a difficult election, not on the issues, but on distractions. But sometimes distractions are more difficult to deal with than issues. But I know that we have leaders here who are more than capable to set the ball rolling and to lift us higher. And myself, what I want to say, sir, is this, that we'll give this everything we have. We'll give it 150% commitment. We will ensure that we make this our great party extremely proud.
Asue Ighodalo there. Well, to help us make sense of the court judgment and the underlying controversies and politics of the PDP, both in Edo State, in Rivers State, and across the country as the main opposition continues to face major challenges. In the studio with me is the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Debo Ologunagba. Thank you so much, Debo, for joining us.
Good evening, Samna. Thank you for having me.
PDP seems to be in the eye of the storm. I mean, beginning from, Rivers State, you went to Edo State, where the heat is on now. Just talk to us about all of this. Let's start from Edo.
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, because PDP always be in the eye of the storm reason, because it's a democratic party. And in a democracy, when you have conflicting interests and contestation of ideas, you have these kind of things. But again, let's start with Edo, which is the more important thing. Interestingly, like we have said, and has now been validated by the certified true copy of the judgment, there is no disqualification, there's no nullification of the primary election, and the candidate of the party for the September election, for the governorship election in Edo State remains Dr. Asue Ighodalo, and there was no disqualification for emphasis. There was no nullification. The primary election that produced him was duly and properly constituted. He was duly nominated, and he was duly sponsored by the PDP in accordance with the constitutional provision of how a political party will sponsor a governorship candidate. And that is the position. Again, there have been so much, and we must unpack all this misinformation. We know that of fact that there are people who are uncomfortable with the fact that PDP has, as a democratic party, follows due process in all its affairs. The primary election was conducted in strict compliance with the constitution of the party and the guidelines and the Electoral Act 2022 with regards to how do you conduct primary elections for the nomination of your candidate. And one of these is that INEC is key to this process. And so at the election, the primary election that took place in Edo State, once the venue was approved, which was a public place, the Samuel Ogbemodia Stadium, INEC was there fully represented and monitored. There are pictures and video evidence of that. Interestingly, as always, Arise covered it live. Thirdly, security agencies that were expected under the law to monitor, all these agencies wrote their report to say that all due process and all that needed to be done were done by the party. And so when we hear people going over all of this, we know that it's actually, like the candidate said, it's a distraction.
Well, yeah, but you're a lawyer yourself. I mean, if a judge has given a judgment like this, people need to know what exactly is the content of that judgment. Have you got the CTC?
I have gotten the CTC. I have read it,
certified true copy,
and the certified true copy by the judge under his hand and signature. There is nowhere in that judgment that talks about disqualification of Dr. Asue Ighodalo, and there's nowhere in the judgment that talks about nullification of the primary election. So, I mean, the hues and cries about this, about the issue of supposedly people being excluded. Again, we go to the Electoral, which is the guiding law. Section 84, subsection 14 was very clear. The essence, and you see, in the past, and that's why we have this democracy is improving, because it's a work in progress. You may not have it perfect, but you keep improving step by step. Before now, you can find what you call in law meddlesome interlopers, people who are busybodies, getting and say, oh yes, I ought to have voted, I didn't vote, cancel that.
So those 378 people, are they meddlesome interlopers in this case?
Clearly they are, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Clearly they are. They are actually on the voyage of discovery, and they will discover nothing. Number one, that order of court says that XYZ, who are members, duly elected as delegates, should not be excluded in the primary that took place in April. So largely this judgment is academic purpose, because the act that is being complained about has actually taken place. Right. In any event, to establish how they are meddlesome interlopers, Section 84, subsection 14 of the Electoral Act 2022 stated clearly that only aspirants in that election has a right to approach the court if, in their view or in their position, that every action or some actions that ought to have taken place didn't take place.
Yeah, was that the reason why INEC didn't put in any submission?
Well, INEC knew that this was a voyage in futility, and they don't need to go and waste public funds. That's why INEC just say, well, we have the report.
All right,
and that's happened.
National Publicity Secretary, listen to what Monday Pueblo, the APC governorship candidate, had to say, that Edo people can clearly see that the PDP is a chaotic party and can't be allowed to continue to lead our dear state following the outcome of this judgment. Isn't it a manifestation of all the problems, troubles that the major opposition is going through?
You see, when you assume sometimes that there's a peace in APC, it's a piece of the graveyard. Watch until the election. In any event, I will not glorify or uplift Okwebalo to a conversation on this, because he can't comprehend it. He can't. He cannot comprehend this conversation. We know his background. We know his communication.
Are you saying it's not a match for your candidate?
Look, he clearly, it's light as her head. It's like comparing death and living, and sleep and death, or day and night. Look, this is a man who went to America and was talking about people, the animals are not in the zoo, are not in the museum. He doesn't understand. So I'm not going to give him any chance on that. He should go and campaign. He should be talking to the issues, like our candidate does. Our candidate is savvy. He's a man who is organized, who has a background. Somebody described him today as a panabita. Well, I don't want to talk about that.
Well, was it during the inauguration of your campaign?
Yeah, the people who know him very well. The former member of the APC who joined us in Edo, who was the president of National Union of Road Transport Workers. So if he knows a panabita very well, And that's why he described me as
well. We're talking of a senator here, a serving senator.
Who
does happen to be
it wasn't my word. It's the word of somebody who knows him probably better than myself.
All right. I mean, if he says that the PDP is chaotic, isn't it relating with all that's happening, including what's happening to the PDP in Rivers State? At the moment, we've seen all the chaos and all of that. The same thing is happening in Edo. These are two states that you control. Why is PDP being seemingly chaotic?
Again, I said this is what. These are his words. He says chaotic. We're not chaotic. We are not. And we are a party because it's a democracy. You must have conflicting ideas. And but
it looks like you're not in control of the states that you're governing.
We are
Edo
in control.
And Rivers, for example.
I tell you this, the fact that people went to court when they don't even have locals to go to court doesn't mean it's chaotic. In Rivers, and that's very important, I like that. In Rivers, there was a judgment 2 days ago by the Court of Appeal. People continue to spin wrong information. That judgment was in respect of jurisdiction of the lower court. Okay? There was nowhere in that judgment that says the former lawmakers who have defected from the party, who stands seasoned member of the House of Assembly. Nothing was said about that. It was whether the High Court in Rivers have jurisdiction to have entertained that matter. PDP was not a party in that case. However, it's our interest that is involved because Section 1091G was very clear. It is what I describe as self-executory. If those 27 or so members decided to go on a voyage of no discovery and they find out that they are wrong, then they must carry their own monkey. What happened? Incidentally, they came out with another case. They went to court by themselves. In suit number FHC ABJCS 1681/2023, they went to court to say, you know what? Well, we have not decamped. But follow the tendency. December 11, 2023, these people, former members of the House of Assembly in Rivers State, went in the hallowed chambers of Rivers State Assembly, waving APC flags, and they were singing.
Yeah, but the judges are saying that is not enough to say that they've moved out of PDP.
I'm just bringing out a statement. Membership of a party is different from being membership of the House of Assembly. You must distinguish that. The moment what Section 1091G stated was the fact that if you decamp from your party as a member of a legislation during the period when that legislation is alive, without division in your party, you lose your seat.
So is it division at the state or at the national
Fine,
level?
that is exactly what it provided. And that issue has been answered very well by the Supreme Court. In the case of Abegule versus Ondo State House of Assembly, where the man there defected from the then Labour Party and changed party, went to court, and the Supreme Court said no. If you defect without a division, then you lose your seat automatically. So like I said, it is self-executory. You don't need a court pronouncement to this.
Is it at the national or at the state level?
And that's exactly what I want to go, because the proviso talks about division. The fact that you are breaking head in a chapter of a party does not constitute a division. And that was what the Supreme Court said in that matter. What he says, and he defines it, that it must be such division that it is impracticable for the party at the national level to operate. And so when these people were running from pillar to post, they started by saying there was a division because there was a contest about the secretary. When they saw that didn't work, they came and said, okay, but say this out. On December 11, 2023, they declared that they have left and they sang on your mandate, whatever. Then on 13th, which is critical, on 13, and please, just 1 second, sir. I need to read to you something by the acting chairman of APC on December 12, 2023.
That's
Tony Okocha, acting chairman. He said, I'm quoting him verbatim. Today, which was 13th of December 2023, that we received 27 former members of the PDP into the APC River State. We commend the defectors. Those are his words.
All right.
So he said it, he cleared it. That is the word of Tony.
Yeah,
because they went to him, and on the next day, after the 11 when they declared, they were received at the Port Harcourt Polo Ground.
Yeah, but have they filled any document to show that they are APC members?
No, look, my point is this. I'm not interested whether they are members of PDP or not. We're interested in whether can they, in view of Section 1091G, can they claim to be members of the River State Assembly? The answer is no.
All right.
Because they cannot. Supreme Court says so, the Constitution says so, and it is self-executory.
Well, we've actually gone into these reverse issues. But what actually attracted me is this statement that there's actually some form of chaos in the PDP. Because during the week also, there was a group that came out to say that PDP seems to be dead at the moment. They are calling for revival
which group is that?
Of the PDP.
Which group is that?
Well, I mean, you would have seen a group, loyal to Honorable Ikenga Oguchinyere and all of that and so on. But what exactly is the state of the PDP at the moment before I let you go?
You see, it's important for us, and this speaks to the National Working Committee which I belong to,
yes, sir,
that at this time, it behoves on us to get more proactive and continue to take away these distractions, as it were, and ensure that we continue to do that which is right. Intensify action in reconciliation, because that's very important. We know that because there are conflicting interests in any political party, especially if you are democratic, you need to listen to every shade. But again, the messaging should be to every member of this party, irrespective of the position, that they should know that Nigerians look up to this party. We are loved, we know that. But we shouldn't take Nigerians for granted. Right. And the leaders, people who have benefited immensely from this party, must recognize that they have a duty not only to their God and to themselves, but equal to the people who look up to us.
I hope it starts very quickly in Edo State, because if the PDP does lose Edo State, I mean, I wonder how the future
we're not going to lose. We're not going to lose in Edo State because we're not going to lose in Edo State because we have the best candidate in that election. We have united as a party. People are moving in. We are going into the race. And we are concerned that we don't want the presidency, because some statement was created to the president last week talking about he will go on to seize Edo. He should not hit that policy. We will win Edo, and the federal government and INEC has a responsibility to democracy and to the world, the AU, the EU, the United Nations, and the stability of the West African region to ensure that the election in Edo is free, fair, credible.
Are you afraid of federal might, actually?
I don't know. When you have power, the strength of a man is in the restraint to use it. They don't use that might negatively. Use it to pursue people who are killing people in Gwazo. Use it to make sure that the marauders are not disturbing us. Use it against people who are destroying people from going to their farms. Use it to ensure that you give people better life. The queues are back on the street. That's where the might should come in. Not to begin to. We just saw what happened in UK. That should be something for us, and it should be a reflection, because President Tinubu has congratulated them because they are free, fair, and credible election. He should ask himself how many people congratulated him when he won.
All right.
I think that's very important.
Very important submission indeed. Actually, we all canvass for free, fair, and credible election. Always, we must thank you so much. Debo Ologunagba is the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, and he's assuring Nigerians here that the party hasn't gone comatose.
At all.
Contrary to
what
others are saying. Yes. Well, we can continue to hope that you play your politics well, and of course, Nigerians continue to see our polity is virile and not going down. Well, we must thank you so much.